Dizzy stormed through the halls and floors of the time travel. All right, let's not put a W in travel. Academy. That was a lot of storming because the school was a mile wide, a mile long, and a mile high. By the time Dizzy found Meow, one of her friends from here in 2225, 200 years in the future. Yeah, future. No, I almost spelled that right. Do I get credit for almost spelling things right? 200 years in the future from her own time. She was tired of storming. She just had to walk up to Meow and grab her by the arm. What are you doing? Meow demanded as Dizzy pulled her away from the group of girls. Dizzy called over her shoulder and said, "We'll be right back." It turned out that was far from the truth. Alright, Meow tried to pull her arm away, but Dizzy kept moving her along. Have you gone crazy from all that time traveling? Dizzy held up a folded piece of paper. It had dirt smeared on it that looked a bit like red clay. Maybe I am going crazy because I keep finding these notes in my pocket that tell me things about the missions that no one should know yet. Meow reached for the dirty paper, but Dizzy pulled her hand back to keep Meow from taking it. Put that away before someone sees it, Dizzy. So it is you. How do you know what is going to happen before we do it? I didn't say it was me. You recognized the note, and I compared it to your digital signature on other documents. I thought it matched, but now I know it was you. So tell me what's going on. Did the notes help? Dizzy just stared a moment and then said, "Yes, but that's what bothers me." Yes, but that's what bothers me. How could you know? There is no working time machine except the one we are using. So, how do you know what is going to happen before we do? If the notes help, Dizzy, can we just leave it at that? Dizzy let go of Meow's arm, but said, "No, I can't leave it." Alright, let me get a comma there instead of an M. No, I can't leave it, and I'll have to tell the others if you can't explain this to me. You shouldn't do that. Why? Why, Meow? I'm not supposed to tell you. Well, you need to. Right now. Okay, but come up to my room, because I'll probably have to prove it to you. They walked to the elevator, rode up several floors, and walked to Meow's dorm room without talking. In a school that is a mile in every direction, that is a long time. As quickly as Meow could close the door, Dizzy was throwing questions at her. Instead of answering, Meow turned on the 3D holographic projector over her computer. The image of a book. All right, let me fix a spelling error there real quick. The image of a book. Let's say the image of an old, decaying book spun in the air, lighting up the room. Dizzy said, "What is... Wait. Is that the diary they found buried at the site of my old house?" Meow started to answer, but Dizzy cut her off again. Well, not again, because she just cut her off for the first time. Cut her off. Meow, you scanned it? None of us were supposed to read it. Is that how you know what is going to happen? Dizzy, I wouldn't have done it, but you... I what? Tell me. I'm not supposed to. Meow barely spoke above a whisper. Dizzy took a step toward her friend and said, "You will tell me everything right now." Meow turned on a communicator on her wall and opened an outside line. "What are you doing?" Dizzy asked. "Just hold on." Meow typed in a few things. When someone picked up, Meow quickly said, "Don't say anything. I'm not alone. I have a big problem I don't know how to solve." A voice on the other end, one belonging to a woman, responded, "Is Dizzy from the past there?" "Who is that?" Dizzy demanded. "She is," Meow said. "She figured out that I was writing the notes. She won't let it go." The person, hold on, I don't need quotation marks there. The person on the other end laughed and said, "Yeah, I remember that. You're right. I won't let it go. You're right, I won't let it go. You're right, I won't let it go. Who is this?" Dizzy pushed Meow aside and walked up to the communicator. The woman on the other end said, "I'm you, Dizzy. I'm sending a car to the side door I used last time. Meow. You two get in and come see me. You two get in and come see me. I'll have you back before anyone really misses you." The communicator turned off. Dizzy turned to Meow and said, no one asked, "What did she mean that she was me?" Meow shrugged and said, "You'll see." Scene break. "Hi, Jay, you made it. Hey, Red Plane," also known as JC. The great and talented JC. Glad you could make it. Now that Armand was your warm-up, you get to see how it's really done. I'm just kidding. Armand does a wonderful job. All right, so we're at a scene break. Okay. The transport flew Meow and Dizzy away from the tall walls of the Time Travel Academy. Dizzy asked lots of questions, but Meow gave very vague answers. Dizzy occupied herself watching the cities and superstructures. Let's see if that's one word. And the superstructures whip by outside. There was still a lot of green space between neighborhoods. Come on now. Between neighborhoods and cities. But 2225 had a lot of changes from 200 years in the past, where Dizzy came from and hoped to return to permanently one day. Okay. Hope to return to permanently one day. She was nervous about this trip, but she rarely got to see the outside world in this year. So she tried to enjoy that. Very soon, they left the structures behind and moved through and above mostly forest. A misty shoreline rose into view, and a lighthouse that looked like it came from Dizzy's time, or even earlier, stood out on a spit of rock from the edge of the sand. The transport turned south and blew sand into the air behind it. After traveling along the beach a short while, they reached a harbor where tall trees grew right up to the edge of the water. The transport ripped across the quiet water toward a wooden house that sat among the trees on the water's edge. The transport came to rest beside a short dock, and the doors opened on that side. Dizzy looked to Meow. What now? I don't know. I've never been here before. Well, whoever this is, she's your friend. Hold on. Meow stared a moment and said, I think you're my friend too. Aren't you, Dizzy? Dizzy swallowed a few times and took Meow's hand. We are friends. I've been upset because I didn't understand what was going on. Then let's go find out. They stepped out of the transport crossed the dock and came to the glass doors along the bottom floor. There was furniture inside, but the room looked dark. Dizzy knocked on the glass, but no one answered. Meow said, "Let's go around to the other side." They climbed up a slope into a grassy side yard among the thicker trees of the forest. There they saw a picnic table with settings, food, and flowers. An old woman sat there like she was waiting on them. Meow and Dizzy approached together. "It's good to see you both again," the old woman said as she poured syrup over a big pile of pancakes in front of her. "Who are you?" Dizzy asked. "I already told you, dear," the woman said. "Well, tell me again." The old woman met eyes with young Dizzy and said plainly, "I am Dizzy Vieira. I'm over 200 years old." Dizzy asked, "How?" Older Dizzy just sort of laughed as she motioned toward two other chairs with pancakes in front of them. I just sort of kept on living. I was having way too much fun to stop. Join me for breakfast. It's almost lunchtime. Dizzy said. Okay, I'm gonna have to be more specific here. Young Dizzy. Young Dizzy said. Older Dizzy shrugged and said, maybe over on the East Coast, but it is still morning here. Come on, you'll really like these pancakes. Dizzy sat down and accepted the pitcher of warm syrup. Good grief, let's spell some of these words right, shall we? Alright, warm syrup. Say, even as she poured, she asked, how do you know I'll like them? Older Dizzy chuckled and answered with a bite of food in her mouth. I know because I remember loving them when I was you and I had this conversation the first time. Young Dizzy just stared as the older version of her went on eating. All right. Meow held up a pancake and let it flop back on her plate. My mom makes pancakes, but they are nothing like this. Young Dizzy was thinking these looked normal to her when older Dizzy said, this is how we used to make them, and they are better this way. Dizzy's, okay, let's say young Dizzy. Young Dizzy started cutting up her stack of pancakes as Meow took a biscuit and started, no, we don't need to say started again, and spread peach jam on it. There was fresh fruit on the table too, and both Dizzies ate some of that. When they met eyes again, older Dizzy winked. You love them, don't you? Young Dizzy swallowed before she spoke. I really do. Told you. So, you really are me from the future. I really am, dear. But from my perspective, this is the present, and you are me from way in the past. So, Dizzy looked at Meow and then back at the old woman. Alright, let me see what I have so far. You have been sending me messages through Meow using that diary. Pretty much, yes. Why? The old woman took a deep breath and said, partly because that is what happened the first time. Alright, what would be the age group for these books? They're middle grades, so 6th through 8th is typical. With middle grades books, there are usually some older readers that will pick up on them as well, and then some upper elementary, especially ones that are reading well, will start picking up on middle grades. So middle grades category usually includes like 4th and 5th grade as well. So sort of ages 10 through 14, 15, sometimes a little older, depending on the taste of the reader, but firmly in sort of that 6th, 7th, 8th grade group is sort of the target audience. Also, just as a side note, whenever you're writing for an age group, whether it's young adult, middle grades, or intermediate or lower elementary, it's common to make your characters the top of that age group. So if you're writing middle grades, then typically your characters are 8th grade, because kids who read typically want to read about characters that are a little bit older than them than characters that are younger. If you're writing young adult, typically you'll write characters that are at kind of the top of that range, maybe 16, but usually 17, 18-year-olds is sort of that top range of where you want your characters to be. And then, of course, when you get down into, elementary and stuff, a lot of times you're doing 5th grade, 6th grade, on up into there. And that's kind of just because that age group wants to aspire higher and they don't want to read about someone that's younger, like an annoying little brother or something like that. They always want to read a character that's slightly older than them, so they can kind of imagine themselves up into that age. All right, the old woman took a deep breath and said, partly because this is what happened the first time. Partly because there is more going on than everyone knows yet. Oh, you're welcome. Okay. By the way, Shelley, Armand did a great job. I don't know if he's making it sound like to you that he's struggling, but he's doing a wonderful job with streaming. So I don't know what he was so concerned about. He's a natural at this. All right. Tell me, young Dizzy said between bites. Older Dizzy went on eating her stack of pancakes. I tell you what you need when you need it. Any more might make things worse. Young Dizzy scooted back from the table. I'm getting very tired of hearing that from everyone. I know. I remember. Do we ever catch Dr. Cooper? Is this ever over? Older Dizzy paused, but then smiled. Of course we win. We wouldn't be here talking otherwise. Then why not just tell me now? Older Dizzy shook her head. I wish I could. But this is more dangerous than you imagine. Just because it worked out the first time doesn't mean things can't still be messed up. With time travel, anything can change at any time. I'm here to help and make sure that doesn't happen. I've had a good life. You're going to have a good life. And I'm not going to let anything take that away from us. Young Dizzy nodded and returned to eating. I'm glad to have friends. I'm glad to have friends, even if one of them is just a really old version of me. Hey, Older Dizzy said. I get enough of those old comments from Meow. And I don't need it from you too. Young Dizzy looked at Meow, and both girls started laughing. Young Dizzy looked at Meow and both girls started laughing. Older Dizzy joined in. The pancakes were gone before Dizzy realized it. They talked about many things, but the old woman was careful not to reveal much about the future for young Dizzy. As they finally got up to leave, young Dizzy didn't want to go. I just realized I didn't actually add the title in here, Tell Me the Truth, so at some point probably during the editing process I might need to put that line in. Gotta head out. It's been getting crazy here at the office. Glad I was able to stop and keep up the great work. All right, man. Yeah, you better get back to work before someone notices what you're really doing with your time. Glad you were here, JC. Appreciate it. All right. We'll be there for you, the old woman said. Me, Meow, and everyone. Dizzy nodded as they crossed the dock and returned to the transport. The vehicle lifted off and raced back the way they had come. Both girls were quiet for a while. Finally, Meow said, "You know what? Dizzy stared at her friend. Hold on. Let's, instead of say, you know what, let's ever say, you want to know the truth? Dizzy stared at her friend. Tell me. Meow took a deep breath and said, those pancakes were fine, but the ones today are better. Not everything from the past is so great. Dizzy rolled her eyes, but she smiled as she did so. All right, I may need to add some other things in there. Let me get back up here. Hold on, I'll just search for Cooper. All right, so Dr. Cooper. All right, let me add that in here. Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth, young Dizzy said. After a pause, she continued. All right, so that gets the title in there. I may actually add it in again earlier where she asks her friend to tell her the truth.